Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, comedian, magician, Danny Whitson. But it's all tricks aside, because tonight we're turning the paranormal into the normal. Join me as we explore the gray areas of reality. We're going to talk all things paranormal, UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, and aliens, and see how it's all connected. This podcast is brought to you by the Experiencer Support Association, and we are live. So if you're an experiencer yourself, or you're just plain nosy, be sure to send me your question and subscribe to the podcast. Now, get ready, because it's going to get deep. No, really, we're going to go way out there, because this is Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. What's happening, my paranormal junkies? Welcome to Beyond the Tinfoil Hat, and I'm your host, Danny Whitson. Guys, we got a great show with you for you this evening. But first, let's give a quick shout out. If you guys have not done so, head over to Patreon, show us some love at Heed the World, make a small donation. We got some new articles happening on the experiencersupport.org by our very own Ryan Stacy that you guys need to go check out as well. Guys, we are broadcasting live from the E-United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. All right, we're going to cut right to the chase. Like I said, we got a very great show, a very interesting guest. This evening, he's an experienced spiritual teacher and author. Let's welcome today's guest, Dean Graves.
Hi, Danny.
How you doing, Dean?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Well, I tell you what, like I said, I gave you a brief little intro, but if you don't mind, do you care to let the viewers learn a little more about you?
Sure. Well, as you already pointed out, I'm an author and a podcaster. I have a podcast called Chatting with the Arcturians, and also one called Simple Enlightenment. And I've written 4 books. My most recent book just hit the bookshelves this month. It's called The Enigma of Consciousness, a spiritual exploration of humanity's relationship to creation. I'm a mental health counselor, and I work primarily with people suffering from trauma, and have been very successful in helping people overcome traumas. And I teach meditation and mindfulness. And that kind of sums it up.
Okay, so like now, kind of like what you're doing now, basically, working with people who experience trauma and stuff like this. But it seems like you're taking this to another level. With the consciousness, and, it's something that we talk about a lot on this show, by the way. Now, whenever you first got into this field, was this something that you were open to already, or is this something that you began to open up more the more you progressed into the field?
Well, it was a process, as it is for most folks. I lived a pretty normal, remarkable life until about 50 years old, and I had an awakening. An awakening is a very misunderstood concept. It's nothing more than that point in your life where you have the awareness that all the stuff that you've been doing isn't bringing you greater happiness. And so that can occur when you're in your teens. That can happen when you're 70, whenever. It'll happen when it happens. And that's part of the plan for our experience of an incarnation. And we're supposed to, at that point, begin looking around for alternatives. And so for me, the alternative led to meditation. And through meditation, that provided me with a resource for information, because through that meditation, I learned to talk to my higher self and I have a daily conversation with my higher self, which is simply a higher consciousness being. There's us in the future, as they describe it. And that is my primary source of information. But of course, since I've been chatting with the Arcturians, they are another source of information. And the process was incremental, and I had the luxury of about a 10-year period where I essentially could do research with my higher self and ask questions and learn and put pieces of the puzzle together. And so we've crossed that bridge, and I've been for the past couple of years writing books and teaching, sharing what I have learned.
Well, I tell you what, right now we've got our first question. So hold on one second. Barb, Live Light. Guys, Live Light comes up with some of the best questions. She really does. Let's see here. Hi, Dean. Did your contact with the Arcturians happen in your earlier life before becoming a health professional? Can you share the timeline with the interdimensional beings? And believe it or not, Liv, I was thinking the same question, but she beat me to it. So,
well, my communication with my higher self began about or in 2011, and has been pretty active since then. The Arcturians, my significant other is a vocal channel. And so on the podcast, I'm, if you think of us as kind of Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, I'm Dean Martin. I ask the questions and guide the conversation, and they answer the questions.
Great example.
Yeah. So I'm the Dean Martin, and she's the Jerry Lewis, the real star of the show. But she's the vocal channel with the Arcturians.
So did this happen? Did you have an experience though with them? You know, a lot of people sometimes will have some kind of experiences like this in a childhood or something like that. Was anything like that for you, or?
No, within the last. This has all happened within the last 25 years. I did have a wonderful meditation that was early in this onset. That I had a visitation from multiple groups in succession, and they were very comforting. They were very informative. They were very instructive. But and this was all within one meditation. It was Arcturians and several other groups, as well as individuals, the spirits of individuals that most everyone knows. I had an opportunity to speak with the spirit of Mahatma Gandhi and just several other folks. It was just a whole sequence of visitors.
And this was through your meditation, correct?
Yes, this was in meditation. Yeah.
Okay. You know, I've heard that before. I've heard people, you know, who like they're able to talk to some very powerful historical figures through meditation. And so what is your take on that after doing this, like the life after death kind of thing? Is there what's going on there based off your experience?
In other words, is this it, or is there more than just it?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, we all exist simultaneously in both the metaphysical world and the physical world. And if you imagine that we're on a sports team, and just like a sports team, all during the week we practice, we watch game films, we get coaching, we review what we've done and anticipate what we're going to do, and then we have a game. So the game's on Friday night, and then we are supposed to remember, but we're obligated to forget, which is called the forgetting. It's part of our experience. But the lessons that we are supposed to get really need to be learned from a position of not knowing. In other words, we have to experience it in order to learn it. So right now, you and I and everyone listening to this is in the game. And when the game is over, then we'll go back to the locker room and we'll review what we did and what we didn't do, and prepare for the next game. The average human has incarnated over 3,000 times, and some as many as 8,000. We have a curriculum. We exist within a range of consciousness that simply is referred to as third density. It's a very, relatively speaking, low range of consciousness. So we are beginning from the beginning, and we have a curriculum to learn in order to advance to the next range of consciousness, which is called fourth density. So we are learning what is preserved after a lifetime. Has nothing to do with all the diplomas that we may have accumulated. What is preserved are what we have learned about 5 inherent characteristics of the Creator, which are awareness, love, wisdom, unity, and stillness. And that's preserved. That is what's preserved and incorporated into our metaphysical being. Our metaphysical being is a consciousness pattern. We don't have a body like we perceive that we do now. We have been in our incarnations, we have been male, we've been female, we've been rich, we've been poor, we've been black, we've been white. Whatever combination of ingredients that would give us a different lens to interpret our experiences, by this point in our evolutionary process, we have pretty well experienced it all. And so we are at a crunch time, in that we, having learned all of this, need to assume some responsibility for our own evolutionary progress and make some decisions. And that decision that we are obligated to make, as well as being pressed to make, is a simple choice, and that it is called simply the choice. And that choice is whether we're going to polarize service to self or service to others. And the reason that is important is that will serve as the chosen path of our future evolution. The service to others path is the path, it's considered to be the direct path back to unity with the Creator. It is the path of unity. The service to others path is the path of separation, and one is no better than the other. It's just simply two different paths. The service to self path is considered to be the indirect path, because following the service to self path will hit a brick wall, literally. It will be like a brick wall that we can't go past. And once we reach that point, we will have another decision to make, whether continue to butt our head against a brick wall, or go back and go again and learn to follow the service to others path.
So this is it's kind of almost on the whole, I guess, is it the reach nirvana type of thing? Am I on the right track here with you?
Well, yeah, nirvana is again a vague concept. We are all motivated to get more of what we like. No one is motivated to get more of what they don't like. What we like is different. What you like is different from what I like. I mean, if we tried to do 2 lists and compare the lists, they'd probably be vastly different. But what makes creation possible is a distortion, and that distortion is free will. And philosophy has debated free will forever, but their perspective is, do we have the choice to go right or left, or is this predetermined? And that's not free will. That is the product of free will. Free will is our perception of separation. So it's only because we perceive ourselves as being separate from the Creator are we able to have independent choices and thereby explore creation that we are creating as we do this exploration.
So what is, I've always wondered, because I mean, when it comes down to most any type of beliefs, religion, anything, it's what is the point? What is the point of us being here? This is what we scratch our heads about. And with kind of with your, with what you do, you say that we're getting crunch time. We're getting close to the. I mean, is there like a wrap up at the end of all this to where you don't come back, into the game? You don't play the game anymore.
Well, it's either to stay in this range of consciousness to continue to try to fulfill the curriculum of this range, or to move to the next grade. So it's like we're in third grade, and we have to learn the curriculum of third grade in order to go to fourth grade and be able to do fourth grade work. So it's incumbent upon us to do the homework and do the work of third grade in order to be able to do the work of fourth density. We can stay in this range of consciousness as long as we need to in order to learn. So there's no termination. The third density has a defined period of time to it, which is approximately 75,000 years. And that's divided into three segments of roughly 25,000 each. And at the end of each segment, we're assessed and determine whether we have learned the curriculum adequately to move on to the next grade and next density. If we haven't, then we just simply return and continue on with our experiential studies until we finally get it. Earth is considered a second chance planet, which means we're kind of a reform school. Everyone here that is in this process to graduate has failed from at least one other third density experience, failed to graduate from one other third density experience. Earth is comprised of 16 different planetary groups that were brought together on Earth in order to try to graduate. One of the larger groups began on planet that was called Zenoa, and Zenoa was the precursor to Venus, what we call Venus. And Venus served as a very productive third density planet for literally billions of years. And we who were participating in the final days of Zenoa completed one third density experience, began another one, and roughly midway through that, we blew the atmosphere off the planet, which terminated that third density experience and made the planet uninhabitable for a third density experience. But it is still occupied by a fifth density entity, but it is a service to self entity that occupies the planet.
So you're talking about the planet Venus?
Venus, yeah.
Okay. So basically, and just to bring a touch of humor here, everybody here on Earth, we all got held back a year. So we're all a little bit for our age.
Actually, we got held back 5 years, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. I got held. Yeah, I got held back. That's why I'm bigger than everybody. Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting, and also considering how old the universe is. Like you said, 75,000.
75,000 for a third density experience.
So,
yeah.
I mean, and really in universe terms, that's what a day. I mean,
it's a blip. Yeah.
Yeah.
But understand that time, the universe experiences simultaneity. In other words, everything is happening at once. We, in this range of consciousness, experience time because part of our programming is that we can only process one thought at a time. And so consequently, if you can only process one thought at a time, then that becomes a linear perspective that rules how we view life, how we view our experience. If we were able to move outside of our thought, to stop our thoughts, which a lot of people misperceive as the goal of meditation, if we could stop our thoughts, we would move out of time. We would no longer be in time.
So do you think like this may be like when people have like paranormal or ghost experiences, they see, spirits or something. It could be a possibility that they're picking up on another time, someone else experiencing, you know, there in another time here, or
Yeah, you can ask and receive information on your past lives, but the interesting thing, since everything is simultaneous, you can incarnate today as we are. We die and we see another lifetime, say back when the Greeks were dominant, and that lifetime would provide the curriculum that we need in order to um, learn the curriculum. We could incarnate then. We could also incarnate in what we perceive the future,
yes.
because it's all simultaneous. And if there is a lifetime that will provide us with the opportunities for experience in what we perceive to be the future, we can incarnate there. And we all have done that. But we're only allowed to recall what is behind us, what is historical for us. So no one's going to have the intuitive premonition of a future lifetime, because it's just designed that we can't do that.
So, okay, how did this change your life whenever you kind of discovered this? Uh, you know, because I'm sure somewhere you said you had an enlightenment when you hit 50. I mean, what'd you do?
And an
Just sit down,
awakening.
an awakening. I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
an awakening when you hit 50. I mean, what was it? Was it like a difference between daylight and dark? What brought you to the situation to be like, you know what, man, I'm sick of this. I want to. Did you just plop down on the floor and meditate? What did you do?
Well, as I tell my meditation students, almost everybody comes to meditation running away from the stick. In other words, some aspect of their life is not pleasant. It's painful. And so we meditate for a while, trying to run away from the stick, to heal the stick so the stick will no longer hurt. And one day, whenever you're ready, and this can be in a few months or it can be in several years, it just depends on the individual, you'll get a bite of the apple, and you can substitute whatever thing that you like for the apple. The apple was something that I thought would be a pleasurable image, and your motivation transforms from running away from the stick to chasing the apple, because you want more of the apple. And so the more of the apple that you get, the more quickly your progress um, accelerates, and the more open that you become. But what you're actually doing in this process is the design for us is to surrender these false perceptions of self and the false beliefs that we've incorporated into our mind, and to surrender those and allow our authentic self, which is already there, to emerge more completely. As we do that, then that authentic self is already the awareness, love, wisdom, unity, and stillness that are the inherent characteristics of the Creator. So the more completely we can allow that authentic self to emerge, the happier we get, because stress is the only thing that keeps us in that feeling of unhappiness or not liking.
That is 100% true. I mean, you can trace stress to all the issues that we deal that we all the bad things that we do to ourselves. You
Well,
know,
not only that, but it's also whatever pain or suffering that you're experiencing, or any phrase of that, any mental illness, any behavioral distortions that we experience, those individuals that choose to polarize service to self are doing that because of fear. And so consequently, that is stress provoking. Stress is just the difference between our expectations from our experiences and how things really are. So the more you're able to simply experience things as they really are, as opposed to how you expect them to be, the less stress you will experience. And so consequently, the process of getting happier is just reducing that stress and allowing ourselves to emerge, that authentic self to emerge.
Various factors, including cognitive biases, emotional states, or...
Here we go. I tell you what, we've got another question here. We're going to pop up here real quick, Dean.
Okay.
Once again, Live Light. She's got another fantastic question. If our lives, past, present, future, in addition to parallel lives and parallel multi-universes, are all happening at the same time, how do we stay connected to the present 3D personality and life?
Well,
Good
you don't.
question.
Your personality will change as your body and your life environment will change. The personality is actually a reflection of your degree of progression along the consciousness path. And the consciousness path is synonymous with the enlightenment path. And most people perceive enlightenment to be a destination, but simply because of the successes that the Buddha had. But enlightenment is a path, and our progression through creation is incremental, and by design, it is incremental. And as we progress, then we begin to demonstrate those qualities that even within this range of consciousness that we deem valuable, like morality, like ethics, like consideration for others, trustworthiness. Those are not things that we are taught. Those are things that we become. And as we become those, then that's that is our personality. That is our natural way of being. As we progress through the additional dimensions of the densities, then those become even more prevalent. In this range of consciousness, we're tasked with awakening, becoming aware, and eventually becoming awareness. And that is an inherent characteristic of the Creator. Now, that's not to say that we are not also love, wisdom, unity, and stillness, but they are significantly more subservient to the concept of awareness. And our task is to explore awareness as deeply and completely as we can. The next range of consciousness will, a curriculum is the same for love that it is for this range of consciousness. And we will eventually, near the end of the next range of consciousness, we will become love, which means we'll be love and awareness. This continue to the fifth density, which is wisdom. And by the end of the fifth density, we will become wisdom. Each of these progressions are allowing us to surrender more and more of this perception of separation from the Creator and becoming aware, becoming or being able to live that aspect of the Creator. And by virtue of that, we are fulfilling the purpose of creation by exploring ourselves, which is everyone's purpose.
So when you say Creator, are you, so is it like an intelligent designer, a God, kind of what it is that kind of the direction that you believe in with this?
Well, God is a religious concept, and every major religion that I'm familiar with has the same foundation, and that foundation is that there is a God and that there is you, which is incorrect, because the one infinite, you have to ask, is your perception of of God?
I tell you what, Dean, what we're going to do, we got to cut to the commercial break, but I want to pick right back up on the God topic. We'll be right back, folks, after these messages with Dean Graves.
Have you ever wondered, or maybe just thought to yourself, if there were others just like you? You know, people with extraordinary abilities, psychogenic advancement, and perhaps unique intuitions. Maybe you just wondered if there were other people who experienced unimaginable, unexplained, or even unusual and paranormal events. Are there people who have more questions, more fears than answers? Well, you're not alone. You've never been alone. We believe you. Sign up for EA today.
It's your business. It's your property.
Your assets are worth protecting. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services specializes in patrolling and inspecting residential or commercial property against fire, theft, vandalism, terrorism, and illegal activity. People and buildings are monitored to prevent crime. Keep your property, your people, and your assets safe from threat. Our elite staff are dual licensed private investigators and security guards. Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services.
Go to blacklightiss.com.
All right, guys, if you are just now tuning in, we have been speaking with spiritual teacher, podcaster, and author Dean Graves. Now, Dean, like I said, you were on a very interesting topic. We were talking about God and or intelligent designer. You said it's more of a religious term. If you don't mind, maybe just kind of pick back up what you were saying there.
Sure. I was just going to say that the concept of God is a religious term that anticipates or requires that there be a separate God from you. If you understand that the one infinite creator is infinite, and so you have to ask, what is infinite? And we think of, generally speaking, it's a lot of stuff, a lot of space, a lot of material, a lot of stuff. But in order for something to be infinite, it has to be everything. The numerical value of infinity is 1. Any other number is finite. And so everything is 1, and that's called the law of 1. So everything is 1. So we are the one infinite creator experiencing ourselves and at a range of consciousness, and thereby are fulfilling the purpose of creation. And that's why the stratification levels, there are 8 stratification levels within creation. We're in the 3rd, so we have a long way to go. The first 2 are considered to be foundational. The first is, for the sake of brevity, inorganic matter. second density is organic matter, plants and animals. And they are evolving, but not really with what they learn is not preserved. Our range of consciousness is the first range of consciousness, that what we learn from an incarnation is actually preserved and carried forward throughout our whole tenure in creation. But each of these layers is made possible by free will. Free will functions as an intoxicant. So the more intoxicated that you are with free will, the more completely you perceive yourself as separate from the creator. So our evolution is becoming more aware and surrendering that perception of separation, which is that process of allowing our authentic self to emerge by diminishing this false perception of self that we have created in our incarnation.
Now, when you say so as a whole, human beings as a whole, we're gradually getting there. We're evolving to slowly becoming aware. The one thing I've always found interesting is we have the ability to question our own existence and our own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so there has to be a purpose and there has to be a reason, because I don't think we would have that ability to question that or what if there wasn't an answer.
Well, the purpose of creation is so that the one infinite creator might know itself by experiencing itself. We are experiencing ourselves by our interactions with you and with others. We are just extensions of our one infinite self. We have limited perspective of that, and we are tasked with learning what we don't like so that we will know what we do like when we encounter it, which is our authentic self.
Now, how do you feel about other religions, especially there's other very dominant religions out there that people kind of it's almost like they don't really particularly even study the religion, but they're just to be a part of a group. Human beings, we love groups. Even I hate groups, but human beings' history, they love to get in groups and then do bad things.
Well, and the service to self differs from the service to others path, in that the service to self path has alienated itself from their higher self and from the creator. And they do this by enhancing what we're using to talk right now, which is this hierophant, this false perception of self. And that's who we think we are. And that's very difficult, and it's scary initially in order to begin to surrender that, to give that up. Those that are choosing the service to self path don't try. They enhance that perception of separation, that hierophant, until it becomes more and more myopic. And they give up the energy that they receive. It's called intelligent energy, directly from the higher self, but they have to replace it because they can't stay in creation if they don't have a source of intelligent energy. And so third density is kind of like Goldilocks' porridge. We're just right because we have enough energy that we are worth stealing it from, but we're not smart enough to know we're not supposed to give it up. And so the service to self path in the higher consciousness ranges targets service third density in order to manipulate us by subjugation and domination, in order to perpetuate a source of intelligent energy to sustain them throughout their experience. Now, we're talking, Earth has been a very productive source of intelligent energy for them. So we have had a lot of interference from service to self over the years. But this is going on all over creation, in every universe, in every solar system. So a lot of the things that we consider to be absolute word of God are actually very wise ideas and ideologies that they've introduced into the population to keep us in a state of fear, which is how we give up this intelligent energy. Every time we have a war, they're delighted with that because we're giving up lots and lots of intelligent energy. The things they used to interact with us much more openly than we've been in quarantine for 25,000 some odd years, and so we've been relatively isolated, but not entirely isolated from this service to self influence. The remnants of their previous interaction are things like Stonehenge and the Easter Island statues and the lines of Nazca. Those are all remnants of service to self interaction with Earth. They left those as they were required to depart the interaction with us as reminders that were fearful to the people that existed at that time. And we think, well, we were just remarkable. All of these stones just got moved. Well, that's commonplace from a higher density. That's just not. The pyramids were built overnight by the service to self entities and trying to stabilize the consciousness level of the population so we wouldn't stop altogether. But at any rate, that all of this is related in this recent book that I've written. I did want to get to another topic before we run out of time. The crunch time is Earth has finished a third density experience in February of 2016, and we have started a new third density experience. We didn't notice anything because we're not supposed to. But since about the years mid 2000s, 2005, 6, somewhere in there, practically all of the children that have been born are fourth density children. They're higher consciousness. They are in transitional bodies, which will require them several generations to transition from a third density body to a fourth density body. The Earth is going to split. And by that, I mean the Earth itself is not going to split, but the populations will split and habitate the Earth without interaction with one another. There will be a third density experience ongoing on Earth and a simultaneous fourth density experience, but because of vibrational differences, we will just separate and operate completely independent from the other. And so the decisions that are being placed on us right now is to decide, are we going to assume responsibility for our progression and qualified, learn the curriculum to go to fourth density, or are we going to try again in third density, which for some of us will be the sixth time to try to graduate from third density.
So when you say the population is going to split, there's going to be one side.
It's going to be like third density. They won't interact. It's a vibrational difference. All of creation is right here. We perceive there to be distance. The Arcturians, we would measure them roughly 2,600 light years away, but they are here. There's no distance. There's no space. There's no vacancy. We perceive vacancy because of our limited awareness capabilities, but they are right here on a higher vibrational level.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dean, we got one more question here. I'm going to pop in here, which is kind of similar to what we're talking about, so not completely off topic at all by Live Light. What are your thoughts on ascension? Are humans capable of becoming 5D and fully consciousness, connected to the source energy and able to create a new Earth human community? Kind of like what we were just talking about there.
Yeah, ascension is the progression. You know, if you do the work, then you're going to ascend, but you're not just going to be evaporate to a higher range of consciousness. We are in this range of consciousness for a purpose, which is to explore what this range of consciousness has to offer. There is no prohibitive rule that you cannot ascend all the way back to total unity with the Creator, but that's extremely difficult to do. And it may have been done somewhere in creation, but it is highly, highly, highly improbable because you have to surrender everything that you perceive that you are, and all that perception of separation, that free will intoxication. And so that's not the purpose. That's not the goal. We are not supposed to be a Buddha. We are supposed to enjoy and explore this range of consciousness as completely as possible.
So we're supposed to play the game.
We're supposed to play. We wanted to. We wanted to be here at this time. No one is here that didn't want to be here at this time to experience this progression.
It looks like you froze there for a minute, Dean.
So I understand it's highly probable, huh?
We froze up there for a minute, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It is highly probable. The Arcturians don't predict the future, but they emphasize it is highly probable, which means it's going to happen. Going to be receiving visitations from different groups around the universe, and they're going to be undeniable. They're going to be landing in public parks and on government buildings. The governments are no longer going to be able to say, no, it's swamp gas, and the purpose of that is to integrate us more into the universal community. We've been isolated and quarantined for a long time now. And so they've deemed it appropriate time to reintroduce us into interactions with larger portions of the universe and to be contributing members of the universe rather than isolated as we have been.
Well, right here, Liv says, so tips for being our best human selves. You got any advice there?
Yeah, assume responsibility for your evolutionary progression, which is the first step. And do that. There are multiple sources. You can use traditional sources like the Buddha's teachings or Jesus's teaching, but we have so few of Jesus's teachings that they really don't teach us a lot.
I just heard about, that's interesting that you brought that up and I had heard about this a long time ago, and I believe it was, I think it was Thomas Jefferson who he called it the syllabus, and it was just
the Jefferson Bible.
The Jefferson Bible. It was just Jesus's teachings. He scrapped everything else from the Bible, and he took just what Jesus said, and a lot of stuff that Jesus said it can kind of correlate kind of what Buddha said, and what some people, some other figures.
Well, the wisdom of the Buddha just said, come and see. Do your work, do your meditation, invert that awareness that you're using to monitor your interactions with the world around you, and invert that, which is exactly what meditation does, and explore and come and see. You will have immutable experiences to everyone else in creation that has achieved that level of consciousness development.
And now, with it becoming crunch time, like you said, you said you wanted to. Does your books cover any of this, or
covers all of this? Yeah, the Enigma of Consciousness book, which it's available from your favorite bookstore or Amazon, or it's available as an ebook wherever you get your ebooks, and it is comprehensive. It's not everything that I know, but it is comprehensive, and will take you from the beginning of creation all the way through how we develop this hierophant and why we developed hierophant, and give you strategic.
Do you touch a base on the? Sorry, what was the name? The Curian? Am I saying it right? The
Curians.
Arcturians. Because this is mentioned, and this is where there's a lot of interest here with this. So. You kind of mentioned I know you had to be living under a rock if you don't see what's going on in the media right now with the UAP phenomenon stuff. Is that them?
Almost all of the UFOs, UAPs that we have seen in the skies, and the interactions, the abductions and so forth that people have had, are service to self, fourth density service to self, that are trying to induce fear. Those that have experienced abductions have experienced those primarily by a group that are called the Greys. And the Greys is actually a mutation species that they are incarnate. Their DNA has been bastardized so that they do not experience compassion. And what they want from those abductees is DNA. And they're trying to repair the evolutionary dysfunction that as a population that they have by amending the DNA that they have in their system. But they are a product of service to self to serve as minions in order to induce fear to get more of that intelligent energy.
So, I've heard that before. I've heard that the Greys don't have the same emotions. They don't have the emotions that we do.
No.
So that is part of the abductions. That's actually their game plan. They want to take our DNA and kind of science experiment on themselves. So is that their goal though? They want to have emotion like humans?
Well, they want to be able to evolve, and they can't evolve and with this DNA malfunction. As a matter of fact, the human population DNA has been manipulated also, and our progression has been impaired because upper portions of our DNA have been snipped. And so it's like you cut off the speaker wire. So we can't evolve. We have cycled within the lower dimensions of this density for a long time. That's why we keep having the difficulty that we do in graduating from this range of consciousness.
I could think of, surely to goodness, there's some better species to check with, because we are humans are garbage, man. It seems like, yeah. I mean, and like you said, everybody who here asked to be here, but you know what? I feel like I want to know what was Danny thinking in the other dimension because when you think about it, like you lay life out, you're like, hey man, let's come to a place. They've got food, but you can't eat too much of it or you'll get fat. They got this thing called, you can have intercourse, but you can't have too much of that. That can cause problems, or you'll never get to do that. There's a long line of it's like if they're trying to sell this to me, I don't know if I'm taking the bait. You know what I mean? This place is kind of
balanced.
Exactly. Balance. And that's where I want to go. I think everything is balanced with everything. I tell you what, let's do this real quick before we get out of here, Dean, because this has been a very interesting conversation. Where can people, what's the name of the podcast?
Chatting with the Arcturians, and it's available on Spotify and most major, hosts. You can get it anywhere.
So we can, because like I said, there was a few mentions about the Arcturians, but the listeners and viewers can, check out your podcast and learn a whole lot more.
Yes. And the book, the Arcturians assume that you have some basic knowledge, which I guess is my fault in questioning, but all the basic knowledge is available in the book, the Enigma of Consciousness, the spiritual exploration of humanity's relationship to creation. And it goes into obviously a lot more detail than what we can cover in a conversation.
Yeah. So, and you said the books can be found, you said Amazon, or?
You can get it on Amazon or your local bookstore. Or wherever you get your ebooks. It's on the shelves now.
What was the name of it again, Dean?
The Enigma of Consciousness, a spiritual exploration of humanity's relationship to creation.
Awesome. And Chatting with the Arcturians.
Chatting with the Arcturians. And we just have a chat. It's just like you and I are talking.
Awesome. And like I said, this has been very interesting. Learned some cool stuff that I didn't know before. And then I kind of hear some other things that reaffirms some stuff to me that gets me thinking, like I said, the thing with the Greys, I've heard that said before. So very interesting thing you got going here. And if somebody, now you said you're a mental health counselor as well, correct?
Yes.
So do you have a website or contact if anybody wanted to reach out? Maybe
they can contact me at ddeangraves, all one word, .org. And it's got my contact information and the services that I offer. I'm a keynote speaker as well as, all the other things we've discussed. So I'm available. I'll be delighted to help anybody with their questions or help them find resources that they need, or if they're looking for trauma treatment, I can do that remotely too. So,
And that's something I wish we could have got into a little bit more with the trauma treatment, and maybe, stuff like abduction situations. I'm sure you've heard plenty of stories of those.
Sure.
Uh,
Very
but,
traumatic experience.
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we'd love to have you back on the show, Dean. Dean, this was a fantastic time. Thank you so much for coming on Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.
I've enjoyed it, Danny. Thank you for having me. It's been delightful.
All right, guys. First of all, thanks so much for you guys popping in chat. Fantastic questions tonight, Liv. You always got great questions. Let's see. I see you over here. I saw Lisa pop in there. What's happening, Jay? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Absolutely right, dude. We are scumbags. This place is insane while we run here. Guys, I do hope you enjoyed that conversation. Be sure to check out Dean Graves' podcast, Chanting with the Arterians, and check out his book. Very interesting stuff. I'm sure there's a whole rabbit hole that we could go down and learn more about this topic. If you guys have not done so, be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. Let your friends know, the more people, the merrier. Head over to Patreon, show us a little love, $4 little donation, get you access to some really cool stuff. Actually, I know there's a new article coming out at experiencersupport.org by Ryan Stacy, a case that he's been looking into and studying that he just wrote a new article about. It's very interesting. It's got to do with the UFO phenomenon. So, some proof, some good juicy stuff, it looks like. If you guys haven't done so, show your boy some love. Yes. You can follow me at Danny Whitson Magic and Comedy on Facebook. And you can also follow me at Super Magic Boy on Instagram. I post where I'm going to be, the shows that I'm going to do. And like I said, I even talk about the paranormal on my show. And we do some really spooky, cool stuff too. So if you enjoy just some good entertainment, give me a follow and I'll post where I'm going to be. I may maybe in your town. You never know. But I would love to see some of you guys out at a show anytime. Guys, like always, we are broadcasting live from the United Public Radio Network, the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Guys, this has been a fun time, fun show, great questions. Love to see y'all. We'll be back next week on Tuesday. And looking forward to your great questions. Looking forward to seeing you guys back. Guys, I'm Danny Whitson. Boom. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. All right, that does it for this episode of Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. A big shout out for tonight's awesome guest, and a bigger shout out for everyone who tuned in. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube or wherever it is you listen to your podcasts. And like always, be sure to stay curious, heed the world, and keep the paranormal normal. I'm your host, Danny Whitson, and this has been Beyond the Tinfoil Hat.